Hi, it's Mike Filsame and Jesse Dobek. Welcome to the Traffic Syndicate interview series. Our guest today is Sonia Choquette. Sonia is an author in the personal development space, and she's written 30 books. To write 30 books means you've been doing this for a while. In fact, when she first started doing this, she was actually writing a book, and then like a stand-up comedian, sounds like it's a lot of fun, but it's really not elegant at all. She talks about the grind of having to do book series and book signups and showing up to an audience of 1 to 3 people sometimes, and how embarrassing that was, and there was no other way to sell your books. Fast forward to meeting with Jesse Dobek and learning about digital marketing and funnel marketing. You're about to meet an incredible longevity success story about the second time in her career that she's been able to connect with her audience using social media and digital marketing. So without further ado, let's get to meet Sonia Choquette. Sonia, great to see you. Let's talk a little bit about who you are and your business and how you got started in doing what you do.
Well, I have a bit of an out-of-the-box business. I am a writer, intuitive intelligence teacher, an international coach. I teach people that we have 6 senses. I have been for over 45 years, but I teach people how to activate and integrate their 6th sense into their decision-making process, which is really the quality that separates managers from leaders and helps people live very creative, empowered, and productive lives. So it's a very fulfilling line of work, and I've done it for a long time.
What was it that, we know there are 5 traditional senses. What was it that helped you to discover the 6th sense, and when you saw the effects that it could have with people, especially in personal development and management and things like that?
Well, I grew up in a household where we always knew we had 6 senses. I had a mother who was an artist and an intuitive, but she was also deaf. So she listened to energy and vibration to inform her where her ears were not working. She had this other faculty. So I just grew up in a family, in a world that always acknowledged it. And my big discovery was when I started school, I realized other people were not using their 6th sense. And I just thought that was the most incredibly difficult lack of awareness that they needed. So even at a very young age, I started giving people intuitive guidance in classes and sessions. And my first class, I was only 15 years old. And it was all adults, and started teaching on a professional level by the time I was 25, and I published my first book at 30, and I'm 30 books later in 39 languages around the world.
That's amazing. The 6th sense that everyone has, is everybody's 6th sense the same, or is it an individual depending on the person?
Well, it's actually, I've learned a lot over the years. It's actually a constellation of inner senses. We have outer senses that we rely on, although truthfully, very few people use them very well anymore, especially since they're so preoccupied with their cell phones. They're just not listening, hearing, looking, seeing. But the 6th sense, which is a constellation of sensibilities, a very conscious gut that alerts you to danger, your boundaries, protection, a conscious heart that connects you to supportive energies, things that resonate, that uplift you, that relationship and creative wise. We have vibration in our skin that, just like other senses respond to vibration, so does our skin. So we can, that's when we say, I read the room, or I could read his mind, or I could read the situation, and I just knew there was more than meets the eye. We have energy centers in our throat and the back of our head. So the biggest and most exciting thing that's happening in the world is that the perspective and the understanding that we have 6 senses is no longer actually in place. We're starting to develop a new understanding that we are multisensory and multidimensional, which means we're both physical and energy beings. And so my work actually has accelerated over the last 5 years. After COVID, especially, people have really been naturally activating their sixth sense because the world is no longer predictable. So it's a skill for survival that causes these inner senses to kick in. And it's happening more and more. So what my job is now is teaching people how to fine tune these skills and how to separate wishful thinking and fear from true internal guidance, and how to know the difference and frankly make better decisions and quick decisions with this amplified awareness and more information.
Thank you. Sonia, you've written not one, but 30 books. How did you get the word out? How did you become such a successful, before we even get into any of the traffic or maybe anything you've done with Jesse, but just in the early days, how did you build such a successful brand and get yourself known like that?
It was hard. This was back in the day when I first started publishing books. There wasn't social media. There was barely computers. And the traditional way was to go to bookstores and do book signings, and you'd maybe talk to 5 or 10 people and consider that a good event. I'd go to libraries, I'd go to businesses. It'd be a lot of labor intensive promotion. So I did it because I love my work. I traveled and taught and sometimes would write articles, and it just inched along. And that was just the way it was. But with it's changed so much. I mean, with even publishing, it used to be that you would get published and you'd rely on your publisher to set up your book tours, and you'd show up and hopefully something would catch on. But now,
maybe get on media or a morning show.
But now with so much technology kicking in, and publishers are becoming not as essential, and we no longer are relying on them to get our publicity. The model has changed. Now you might get your book published, but basically a publisher will say, you're on your own to sell it. This is your job now, not ours. It's your social media. It's your advertising. It's your YouTube. It's your whatever. And so I'd say that's been in place for about 10 years. With Facebook.
It was about 2011 that I was put on. What somebody, a good author, said, "Hey, Mike, my people want to talk with you." It's one of the top 3 publishing firms. The call didn't go well. I got on. I had an idea for a book, and I'm telling them what I want to do with the book, and they're kind of like cutting me off, almost like the book's not important, right? And literally they said to me, "What we really want to get with Mike to see if you're the right fit for us, how are you going to market the book?"
Yeah,
and I was like,
"That's exactly the question.
How am I going to market the book?" Right. In my mind, I swear, I was like, "What do I need you for?" And luckily, I knew how to do marketing. That's what I do. That's what you and I do. Why we're talking today. But I was so taken aback. They didn't have concern about, what's my inspiration for writing the book. They were like, "We'll get to that. Show us why we should pick you. How many people do you have on your list? And are you going to be able to do a launch for it?"
So true. And if anything, even more so. A publisher today will not even touch you if you have if you have any sort of less than 5,000 followers on an Instagram or social media account. And you have to give them your marketing plan, which was new to me, but I had already been in an industry. My work is out of the box in left field. So I had already had some experience in not relying on others to do much for me. I was already inclined and of the mindset and intuitive, obviously, that if I wanted my message to be out in the world, I had to be forward thinking and very proactive and not believe anybody was going to do anything for me, but I could find support to work with me.
And would you say that digital marketing was a turning point for you, that suddenly there was social media where you could connect with people and start making a following. And did that have a turning point for you, that it was a new chapter in the next times you started writing books? You were like, I don't have to necessarily grind from book signing to book signing, and you could start taking
I
a little
welcomed
more control?
that. I definitely welcomed that. Book tour sounds so glamorous to some people, but it's actually a very sad, lonely, and often embarrassing experience where no one shows up and you're standing at your table of books trying to look like you're nonchalant and it's all good. So I welcomed the social media factor, and that it allowed me to travel less, because I was traveling quite a bit. It allowed me to reach more people. And I was really excited to discover what it could do. But at the same time, I'm not a tech person. I didn't grow up with computers. This is something that is just beneath my generation. So I realized that if I wanted to continue doing what I do, I need to start connecting with people who do the part I don't want to do and help me, which is how to make this social media work, how to capture people's attention, because it's like a 10,000 deep lane highway to get out there and try to get attention. So I have a good message, and I'm confident and excited about what I do, but still I wasn't interested in learning the part I needed to learn. I was interested in finding some support there to help me market that would take the place of a book publisher.
Yeah. And so talk to me about your relationship with Jesse Dobek. How did you guys get connected?
Very intuitively. In fact, the truth is, I have a friend in Paris, and was talking to him, and he said, you should meet a guy named Jesse Dobek. His mom and my mom are friends. And so I instantly felt that intuitively I should meet him. I make my decisions based on my inner guidance. And I reached out to him, and he initially ignored me. He was not that receptive to who I was. He probably took a look at what I did, and he actually admitted as much. And he said, it's not for me. It's not straight business. This is self-help and little woo-woo. And I didn't take offense. I was used to that. So I just kept feeling like you should help me. So I just persisted. And eventually we talked, and he was pleasantly surprised that I wasn't somebody with a bone in my nose banging a drum, and that I was really an entrepreneur, and I had been running a very successful coaching business way ahead of the curve of these newer coaches. And we just got each other right away. And that's when my first experience with Jesse, that was about 8 years ago.
And what was it in his system that eventually it worked? Obviously,
Yes.
That's great. And I'm glad that you're one of his best case studies. He absolutely loves to showcase you now. What was it in the system that started to click that actually worked for someone like you, that's an author in the personal development space, and as Jesse said, maybe closer to the more spiritual woo-woo,
Right.
as opposed to...
And I think what's called spiritual woo-woo is going to be mainstream personal growth in the next 18 months.
Yeah.
Because of AI, by the way. It's the only quality we possess that AI can't replicate. So
That's so true.
The thing that started to click is, first of all, I didn't even understand what a funnel was. So I had a colleague that was Jesse had a client, Brendan Bouchard, which shared my publisher with me. So, and I knew Brendan, and I knew that his work was really taking off, and I was impressed. So I said, I want the same experience. I want you to help me be in front of a larger audience. And we learned about funnels, and I learned that it was a collaboration, that it was his creativity and my creativity. My part was the ads, and my part was the messaging, but that was fun for me. I had no problem with that. So understanding that it was a collaboration, understanding that it was my energy and his energy together, we really clicked. And within a very short period of time, I started getting a lot more traffic on my social media channels. I started getting more followers, and more books were being sold. And that was all it felt a little bit like a bit of magic to me. I was very grateful to see how the exponential effect that his helping me with getting in front of an audience. And I'm a very passionate person, and I work from the heart. I'm not a person motivated by just money or ambition or external success. I really am motivated by messaging and public service. And so getting me in front of that many people, I felt was really allowing me to fulfill my purpose in life and my mission. And I was having fun with it. I liked Jesse. He was a good guy, and he was interested in helping me and helping my message, even though he initially didn't get it. And I appreciated that he was open and learned and made himself aware. So we became a very good team.
Well, yeah, that's great. And I love the fact that he's a person who's an expert, and even he had to come around and be like, wow, my stuff actually works in things and niches that he wasn't even confident that it would. Just a quick little side note. I told you that I knew somebody that was an author that was getting me in their circle. You mentioned the name. It was actually Brendan Bouchard. We're pretty good friends. We haven't spoken in the last couple of years, but I went to Turks and Caicos a little while back, spoke at his mastermind. We were in a mastermind together called the Syndicate.
Okay.
With guys like Jeff Walker and Frank
I'm
Kern
also
and Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher.
Connected with and have met, because I think the entrepreneurial business world and the intuitive self-development world are converging. It's really just becoming the most conscious, creative, authentic person you can be. So I wasn't, once Jesse met me and saw my message and my legitimacy and my intention, he got behind me fully, and I appreciated that. And he worked with my business partner and I, and it's been 8 years, and we've stayed with him. I mean, we had to find our way, and I do think it's important to know it's a collaborative process, that you can't just hire someone to put you instantly on the map. But if you work together and you really communicate, and you understand how the process works as the person engaging someone like Jesse, for us, it's worked just beautifully.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on convergence. Many of the friends that I look at now, there's these terms, life hacking, but when you actually look at it, it's about sometimes your relationship, your faith, your health and wellness, your personal development, and working on your business and all of, it's not just, I'm a digital marketer. It's like you talk to like my friend, Rich Sheffrin. Rich, I'm sometimes forgetting that he's, in business consulting, because he's more interested in everything Andrew Huberman, that has to do with health and wellness,
right.
and then personal development. And so we're seeing that conversions.
Yeah.
It's you're 100% spot on with that. I want to ask a question about, you had made a transition into now also adding digital marketing, and you spotted it. You said, I need this, but it's not something you wanted to go learn every aspect. You wanted to get connected with people that helped you.
Well, quite honestly, I didn't have the time to teach myself. I mean, I do think that my model for success in life is know what you do well, and then know what you don't do well. And find the people who do well what you don't do well, and work with them instead of trying to do it all.
Yeah, my former partner, he's not around anymore, Andy Jenkins, but he used to call it your HUBU, highest use and best use.
But
so
that's good.
Identify what's your highest use and your best use. And he always used to say, that's not our HUBU, that's not our HUBU. And he would say, we need to find somebody that's their HUBU and let them do it for us. And it was a great way to always look at that. Just find, in that case, Jesse or whatever it might be, to help you with those
He's
things.
the one who does beautifully for me what I don't even want to know how to do for myself. So
Let me ask you, what was it like when you finally put something in motion, especially where Jesse was like, all right, well, look, we'll work on it. Let's see how it works for both of you. I'm going to be talking with him as well. I'll ask him this question. What was it like for you when you actually saw like the first results and you're like, wow, hey, this works. What did that feel like?
relief. Relief. It felt like, because in the world of being an author and publishing and being out there, I've had a lot of experience of this does work. This works a very tiny bit. This is an inch forward. It was a big mountain to climb to get my work into a bigger audience. And with what I've noticed with this funnel and my exposure and marketing, I have a global audience now. And that's one of the things I got excited about, is that it wasn't just local. I started having people contact me, read my books, want to publish my books in other countries because of the marketing and exposing me to people and opportunities and making others aware of me in a way that I could never have done in a traditional sense. I was suspicious. I'm very protective of my reputation because I'm already in a field where people
Rightfully
are like,
so.
wait a minute, what do you do? So I have an impeccable reputation. I didn't want to compromise that, but Jesse got that. We worked together and I was able to communicate my message, my authenticity, my skill, my integrity, and it was a relief, and it was exciting to see how far my reach could go and not compromise who I am.
Yeah, and you and I are similar. You know, you said that you were just before the technology boom. I was born in 1967. I graduated high school in 1985. My brother was born in 1965, so he graduated in 1983. And my brother, when he left schools, there was no computer programming. Right. And right in 10th grade, they brought out these, we used to have to go into the computer room with these big, huge machines. But the Commodore 64 came out, and I bought it to play video games, but you actually had to write computer code to get it started. And so like I was just at the start of that generation. Most of the people that I know that were my generation didn't get on it for another 5 or 7 years. And I'm so happy to see your transition now also with social media and your following and all these different things. So taking the business aspect out of it for a second, personally, what is it like now to be in that digital marketing realm in terms of lifestyle? And I know you were saying you live in Paris and London. What's life like on a personal sense, the freedom that you get being an entrepreneur?
What I love is that it has helped give me the freedom to live wherever I want. It has helped me. I'm not dependent on local business. I'm not dependent on being in any particular place. I'm exposed to the world. I'm not exposed to the neighborhood. So, and the other thing for me that's exciting is that it has introduced me to people from all over the world and it has helped me grow my personal internal sense of self and help me stay current with the world and current with young people and current with the trends and keeps me alive and keeps me engaged and keeps me interested, as well as provides financial support and financial rewards that were not something that I've ever been motivated exclusively for, but do need. I run a business. I want to live well. And so it's like having a whole system working for me 24/7, where it allows me to be able to step back and relax and know that it's not before, when it was the old school where I had to go out. It was my career was only progressing if I was hitting the road. So been quite an exciting transformation I feel supported. I feel a huge force of support underneath my wings that I can count on and that I have a personal say-so in. I feel like my message and my support with digital marketing is still me. And that's something really important, that I can connect with so many people and I'm still me. They're meeting me. And that's to me quite a miracle, actually, from the way it used to be.
Yeah, I love it. And you're in Paris right now? I've only been there twice. I absolutely love the whole culture, everything. And I actually saw it. I saw everybody walking home almost like with a baguette, like a backpack.
That's right.
Like everybody would stop and get the baguette. And I remember the dairy, the freshness, the coffee. It's just such a beautiful culture. And here we are, what you're saying, just 20, 25 years ago, this wouldn't be possible. I would have had to fly to you, or you would have had to fly to me. And here, you can be inside your home, have something on your calendar, say, okay, I'm going to talk with Mike Fulsame today. You pop up the computer and then get back about your
I just think it's a technological miracle. And if you're with the right people and good people, which I have been with Jesse, it's a pleasure. And it's exciting and it's creative and it's engaging and really makes work fun.
So I'll leave you with this one last question. So this interview, you're part of an interview series, and again, thank you so much for doing this. And thousands of people are going to see this interview and get to learn more about you. If there's somebody watching that was someone like you that maybe is successful in what they're doing, but maybe they call themselves a little bit of a technophobe, and they're like, yeah, I kind of get it. And like, even the word funnel, that can not only be intimidating, but it can actually sometimes be a turnoff. I talk to people all the time, like, I don't want to sell people the way that you guys are selling. What would you say? Because right underneath this interview is going to be a registration for a webinar for Jesse and I to tell people about the Traffic Syndicate. What would you tell that person if they had any intimidations?
Well, I would say that it's an essential in current times to use this as a medium to get your work in the world, that you're not betraying yourself. It's don't be scared of changing and doing things differently. And that if you really want to be effective and you want to help as many people as you can with whatever service you have, this is the best medium to be able to be in front of people. And because it's a collaboration and you get to be who you are, and the technology and the marketing just helps expose you to more people. I really truly want you to know, and I tell my clients all the time, you're not going to get very far without it. This is the way the world works now. This is the way especially younger people think. And where they look for their products and they look for their services, they rely on digital marketing. I have two grown daughters in their 30s, and that tell me all the time, this is where we go. We go to social media to look for our products and look for the things we want. So I would say anybody who wants to be relevant and have and grow their business and be in front of people that are available to and are even looking for someone like you, that this is not necessarily negotiable. It's the way to go. And the better team you get in working with the people who are really creative and conscientious, then it becomes a real creative, dynamic pleasure.
Sonia, I want to thank you very much. You are an inspiration, and you are a modern day rock star. You have great ambition. You're not a one-hit wonder. 30 books to me is amazing. You have such life in your eyes and a beautiful smile. It's been great. I hope we can connect one day and we know some different people. And if you're ever in South Florida, let's connect. And if I'm ever in Europe, I'll make sure to hit you up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you're doing, because it's been helpful to me, and people who can engage with this kind of support and service. It's a real support, a real gift. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was such an interesting and dynamic interview from someone that's been doing this for a long time and had a renaissance in the way that she markets her books. using digital marketing and social media. I hope you found that as fun and as exciting as I did. If you want to be the next Sonia Choquette in your industry, right underneath this video is a button for you to register for a webinar that Jesse Dobek and myself will be doing. All of the dates and time are right underneath this video. Please make sure to register and attend. This is a life-changing webinar, and you will be better for it, and sorry if you miss it. So click that button below, and we will see you on the live webinar.